1,000 people, and we're actually sharing on our YouTube page. I just wanted to come up. Okay, good. And we are live. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everybody, depending on the part of the world you're joining us from. We are moving straight to Business and Summit 2. We want to welcome you. We have Peter here, and Peter is ready. Like, I'm looking forward to hearing from Peter. I've been following his LinkedIn handle for quite a while now. And one of the quotes that he's always having, after this session, you got to follow Peter. If you're not following Peter on LinkedIn, I don't know who you're following. One of the things he said that really resonated with me is like, "Hi, I'm Peter, let me help you. I'm not going to fix you because you're not broken." Because, you know, most of the time in life, people make us feel like we're broken, there's something wrong with us. And when he said that, I said, that's so true. There is nothing wrong with me. I am not broken, so I don't need fixing. I just need to become the best version of myself that there is to be. I'm going to play Peter's profile now, then the next voice you'll be hearing would be Peter's. Please hold on while I share my screen. Oh, sorry, I don't think I quite deliberate. I didn't share the audio, so.
Peter has his background in the automotive industry, where he spent over 20 years of his professional career. Seeking meaning and a stronger people focus, he became a life and purpose coach. Since then, he is combining his business, coaching, and personal experiences into his work. His specialty is purpose, as it holds the energy needed to actively shape our lives.
Very simple, very straight to the point, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome Peter. Peter, over to you. Let me make you co-host. I'm not sure if you have slides.
Yeah, I will have slides, but thank you so much for this welcome and just singing along a little bit of We Are the World. That's a long time I haven't sung that song. It's nice, it's energizing. I love it. Good choice for today. And some part of this actually will refer very nicely to what we are about to do. So yeah, also welcome from my side. I'm Peter. I'm German, but I live in Denmark because it's nice here. I'm excited to share a little bit of my insights from my personal story, from my coaching, from my knowledge from the corporate world and whatsoever into the topic of today, into talking about mindset makeover and limiting beliefs and how you can unleash your full potential. So I'll start right away. I'll share my screen. Give me a second for that. And then we are ready to go. All right. Tell me if you can see it now.
Yes, I can.
Good. All right. I'll stay in that mode. That's also the easiest. And if everybody who's interested in also joining your camera and activating your camera, feel free to do so. It's always nice to see people. We're going to interact a little. I have a few visualizations for you as well. So you can turn off the camera when we do visualizations if you need some privacy, and you can turn it back on so we see each other. That's a little bit of a different kind of energy. Obviously, if you're at work or someplace where you don't want to share, fine. So let's start. And the very first thing I ask you to do is take a piece of paper and take a pen, and we're going to do a very small game. And all you need to do is on that paper, you draw exactly what you see here. You draw 4 boxes. So everyone here, that's wherever you are and you have the ability to have a pen and a paper, draw those 4 boxes, all of them empty. And now we're going to start. This is about drawing a portrait of yours. So if you are right-handed, take the pen in your right hand. If you're left-handed, take it in your left hand. And I'll give you 20 seconds to draw a portrait of yourself in the left upper corner. So your strong hand, self-portrait, 20 seconds, and go. Ten is over, 10 more. Self-portrait, left upper corner. 2, 1, and stop. You know now why I want you to turn on the camera? Because I love to see the faces. They're like, oh, what's going on? Okay, let's move on. The right upper corner, you're going to do exactly the same, but now you switch the pen to your weaker hand. So self-portrait, 20 seconds, right upper corner, go. Ten. 2, 1, and stop. Okay, good job. We're getting there. Now you take the pen back to your, let's say, right hand, if that is your strong hand. Yeah. And now you are going to go to the left bottom corner and you're going to draw a portrait again. But this time you're only allowed to place the pen one time on the paper. So you have only one line to self-portrait yourself. Once the pen leaves the paper, you're done, right? So you put the pen on, you draw, and then you leave it, okay? So that's 20 seconds in the left bottom corner. And go. Ten more. 2, 1, and stop. Okay. And now the last piece is you remain it in your strong hand. You have 20 seconds again, but this time you close your eyes. So you put the pen where you want it to be, 20 seconds to make a self-portrait with eyes closed. Time starts now. Yeah, and that's a nice exercise, isn't it? 5 more seconds. Maybe you're done already. And stop. Okay. Now, congratulations. You have just completely reset your brain because whatever you experienced so far in this day is now in one box. And now you did something completely different. And now you're fresh. So that's what I want to do. And if you like the ones who share the camera, you can share the portraits you just drawn. Show it to the camera if you want to. You want to show us the nice portraits you did?
I'm not that bold.
Okay, which one you like most?
Funny enough, the one I took with the weaker hand, because then I was already like having a bit of an idea. The first one I was totally clueless. Like, how do I make a portrait of myself?
Yes, exactly. Great.
My second attempt was better.
Whenever you start a meeting, whenever you start a workshop, whenever you are in the middle of the day or in the afternoon and you want the people to reset, do this exercise. You know, it takes 3 minutes. It's easy, and your brain did something completely different. And now we are fresh in a different state. And now let's start. So, you know who I am. My name is Peter. But one thing I wanted to tell you, which is my purpose. So I'm here to challenge individuals and companies so they can multiply their positive human-centric impact. And for me, you know, one word is humanity. I was in the corporate business world for 20 years. And what I missed there was that we are human-centric. You know, we design big corporations, all human-made, but sometimes we forget that it's made by humans for humans. And so my message here is I want to challenge those companies and individuals to become more of what we are, which is humans. So, and today I talk about limiting beliefs. And I want to start with a little bit of a definition and idea of how I see those limiting beliefs. So what is this actually, a limiting belief? So I call this a habituated thought that limits you in a certain way and stops you of taking action. So that's important. So habituated thought means there is a certain thought that you think over and over and over again. And because you have it so present in you, it became part of you. And that's why it is somehow sabotaging, to use yesterday's language from the summit, or it is stopping you in taking some form of action. And it comes from a part of your brain that wants to protect you. So it is related to a strategy that you developed probably in your early childhood that made you feel safe. So all the intentions around limiting beliefs from your brain are positive. And that's important to understand. This is nothing we need to kill. This is nothing that is bad. It is something that is very natural. It's part of the process. But we might live in a world where we do not lead those kind of beliefs in a long-term period. So what could be the impact if we have strong limiting beliefs, and how do they show up in our lives? Maybe we are fearful. Yeah, maybe we feel we are not worthy. Maybe we have a sense of feeling stuck because life is always putting us in the same position again and again, and we don't know how to break out. Or maybe we just have a feeling, I'm not really doing what fits to my personality. And so what is holding us back? It is many times our limiting beliefs. Now, a little more content here, a little more perspective here. How do they build up? I mentioned it early. In the child and teenagehood, we live lives where we are dominated. This is necessary. We depend with our lives on our parents. So, but also the teachers, even kindergarten teachers, or later in school, higher school, or universities, or whatsoever, we have people telling us what to do. So we are growing up in a context of domination. And so that's why we derive strategies on how we best fit in this kind of area. So I call strategies also guardians because I want this positive spirit. This is something that wants to protect us. So we imagine a lot of threats at those times, and then we react to certain threats. And those become over time our limiting beliefs when we turn into adulthood, because they are invisible inside of us. And they are really soft coded into our brain. And then we feel them in certain forms, maybe even physically because of fear. We have certain emotions, or maybe you have certain triggers. When that person comes into the room, I already start feeling certain emotions, or when I hear someone saying this and that triggers me a lot. So maybe anger is an emotion that is pointing you to a limiting belief. So in a way, this is on how we are self-sabotaging us, using also the terms that were used yesterday. This is on how this shows up in today's adult world. So far the theory, and now I want to focus the rest of the time on what to do to transform those limiting beliefs. And the bottom line of all is basically become intentional about your life. And intentional, there's one easy formula. Pause and think. And if out of that perspective that you create when you pause and think before you act, only good things can come. Out of a position of reflection, only good can come. And now you know why this is also an important topic for me, because you have understood my purpose. If I want to bring more human-centric values into companies, what do they need to do before they take action? They need to pause and review, and then they can take action. So there are 2 steps, a very simple structure for today. We need first to get into a state of awareness, and I'm going to share on how we can do that, and we're going to practice it. And secondly, then translate that awareness that we created into intentional, inspired action. So that is basically the 2-step approach. Now I want you to find your limiting beliefs. And to do that, I always see this with a little humor because we all have them. And hey, who can find more? Because they are pretty much everywhere and they're showing up in our lives. But some become very strong and some just stay there and they are not really very dominant. So we all have them. And if you go through this list that you see here in the middle, then you can see what of those patterns fit to you. So are you a people pleaser? And what would be a thought related or a belief related to you people pleasing? Maybe your belief is only if I serve them well, they will give love to me. Or are you a high achiever? Oh, I want to be the best in everything I do. This is a limiting belief because it will stop you of doing a lot of things where you might not be the best, but still you can create a lot of impact or receive joy from it. So maybe that's you. Or maybe you're a perfectionist and maybe everything needs to be exactly the way you wanted it. And what kind of a belief can be associated to that? Only if it's really perfect, I deserve recognition. I deserve to be happy. Try to find those kind of thought patterns. When you're always busy, what are you distracting yourself from? What is it that you're trying to avoid? So maybe a sentence is, only when I'm very busy, then I'm important. Only when I'm very busy, then I have impact. Only when I'm very busy, I will make a career. That's your limiting belief. And another word for belief is, I use a stronger word, which is lies. Those are the lies that you're telling yourself over and over again. And your brain is so soft wired in believing this that you are searching continuously for proof of that belief. Yeah, you see that colleague, he worked so hard and he got a promotion. Well, guess what? Is that really true that the people that work hardest, they are successful? Look at the billionaires in the world. How is that even possible? Because they need like every day of them needs like 60 hours then, if that is true. And look at them. They seem to be, for the most part of the billionaires I know from the internet, they seem to be some form of relaxed, right? They're sitting there and talking and their posture is relaxed. They have a lot of focus and clarity and they are not sabotaged by their limiting beliefs. Yeah. So anxious, are you avoiding things? Is your structure always, I find a good reason not to do this and that? Maybe then this is part of your belief. So I want you to just decide, now that doesn't make sense for me. Oh yeah, that's me, absolutely, this one. So for example, I'm a classical high achiever. I was good in sports when I was young, I was very agile. And that's why one of the beliefs is, wow, if I'm really good at something, then I receive recognition. Very logical, right? So guess what? I was, when everybody else grew up in childhood, everybody was good in sports, at least many were. And suddenly this kind of exposure for me, being always the good and fast and strong one, was gone. Since that moment, I suffer until I realized in adulthood, it's a limiting belief that I always need to be the best. So here you go. What is your pattern? And I want you to take that pattern. Maybe you find one or two patterns now. That would be important also when we move on. Find such a pattern and then make a simple list. So what is that belief? For example, only when I'm the best, I receive love or something like that. Think about that belief. Think about the associated emotions that it creates. Anxiety, pressure, fear, what is, or maybe anger. What is an emotion that you can associate when you are hijacked by that belief? That would be important because when we want to create awareness, sometimes you understand what you have been thinking before you became angry. But most of the times we just see the emotion coming. So the emotion is a very important tool for you to identify when you become hijacked from limiting beliefs. And then think about what are the actions or non-actions. So what are the impacts when you have this belief and you have those emotions? What are you classically doing or not doing? Are you avoiding certain things? Or you become aggressive and you treat others in a certain form. You try to push away others because life is a competition. What are the actions that come out of this for you? That's a simple list, and maybe take one or two of your beliefs that you just identified, find an emotion, and find an action or non-action. And I give you a minute now to think about that, because we're going to need that content to move on. So to repeat, take one of those patterns here in the middle and see what is triggering you most, what you think fits to you. Yes, I always try to control. And then now take this easy structure and say, what kind of a belief might be behind this pattern of control? Only if I control everything, I feel safe. Could be a classical belief. Associate the emotion to it. And what kind of actions or non-actions you take. So for a controlling person, you're probably trying to control a lot of other people. So those are classical actions. What does it mean? You're controlling maybe your partners, maybe your working colleagues, maybe your children, maybe your friends, and in what ways? And the next question then, you don't need to necessarily write this down now, but you see that on the bottom of this page is, what is the impact if you continue doing nothing about this limiting beliefs? And if you want to structure your impact a little bit, how will it impact you and others in 6, 12, and 36 months from now? So imagine this controller as an example. So what if I don't do anything about this controlling? Well, consequences might be that I remain a controller. What is the impact to you and your environment? Have you ever thought about it? How might your friends perceive you when you're trying to control? How will your friendships develop in the next 3 years if you are the controlling part in such a relationship? So this is important because you understand the impact that your limiting belief and this unique way how this limiting belief shows up in your life is not only affecting you, but your environment as well. And so by now, you have a certain limiting belief identified. You have maybe associated an emotion with it. And for the people just joined, so we are in the phase of identifying a limiting belief, and we are identifying an associated emotion and certain actions or non-actions that limiting belief is doing with us. And now you also had an idea on the impact it has to you and your social environment. And now let's take that idea and that knowledge that I shared in those limiting ideas come from our childhood. They had a protective intention because as a child we were quite, how can I say, we were without limiting beliefs. We were free, right? And now I want to take that to the next step. I want to make a little visualization with you. And so what I ask you to do now, if you have the camera on, fine, keep it on. If you want a little more privacy, you can switch the camera off, that's fine. But we do a little visualization because visualizations are very powerful in connecting your rational mind with your emotional mind. And when it's about switching and changing your limiting beliefs, visualizations play a key role. So for now, what I ask you to do is just to sit comfortably. It's going to take maybe 3 or 4 minutes. Take a deep inhale into your nose and then exhale out through the mouth. Just leave that energy of the day out. Do that again. And Exhale. And while you exhale, you can already close your eyes gently if you like to. You can take another inhale. And then just observe your body, how your body goes more and more into relaxation while your breath is going back to a normal rhythm. Just observe how your body is slowing down and relaxing. And now I would like you to picture yourself when you were around 5 years old. Picture yourself in a happy, easygoing environment as a child. See how playful you were. See the body language of that child. And now the 5-year-old self, your 5-year-old self is approaching you. You make a step towards your 5-year-old self and you are kneeling down in front of him or her. And the first thing the two of you do, because you know each other, you just give yourself a very big hug. And with all that empathy that you carry within you, because you know that at that point of time, all the limiting beliefs started building up, all the experiences within that child, just say to yourself and to your inner child the most loving thing that comes into your mind right now. Just tell your 5-year-old self something very lovable. And with that message, you let go of hugging each other because you're here on a little mission, because you have a certain limiting belief, and now pick out one of the ones that you identified. Maybe it has a controlling aspect, a perfectionist aspect, a high achieving aspect, an anxiety aspect, whatever it is. And ask your 5-year-old self, in the context of this limiting belief, what should you really focus on? In context of this limiting belief, 5-year-old self, what should I really focus on? And listen to the answer. And your next question to your 5-year-old self is, in context of this limiting belief, what should you let go of? What is no longer needed? And listen to the answer. And the last question you have for your 5-year-old self is, in context of this limiting belief, is there anything else you want to tell me? And listen. And now take again a deep inhale into your nose. Feel how that is energizing your body. Exhale, take another deep inhale. And then gently come back. Sometimes meeting our 5-year-old self can be something emotional. I have a picture from me here, for example, if you see that one. That was me, that's the young Peter. Yeah, cute little Peter. So sometimes I talk to this picture, because we are a team. And yeah, sometimes this is emotional. But meeting this, there's one particular message behind it. All your transformation starts with empathy. And the little visualization we did was all about creating empathy. So as a takeaway from this visualization, I'd like you to write down a sentence in the structure below. When I start to think, and then you enter a thought related to your limiting belief. So when I start to think I'm not worthy, or when I start to think I need to be the best, yeah, then continue the sentence. I know it's not true because what is true is, and then you can relate to what the conversation with your 5-year-old self have given you some inspiration for. So put such a sentence onto your paper now. When I start to think a certain limiting belief, I know it's not true because what true is, and then you receive that message. I give you a little time here to finish such a sentence. Okay, so just a recap. We just found out that limiting beliefs, they already started building up in our childhood. They had a positive intention in protecting us. When we grow up as adults, they become invisible patterns inside of us. And they are sabotaging us, they are limiting us in the way we are using our potential. Then I gave you some ideas of potential limiting beliefs, and I ask you to identify one of them and find an associated emotion to it, and the actions or non-actions that such an emotion and limiting beliefs are triggering. And then we did a little visualization in which you met your 5-year-old self. For me, this is this gentleman here. And in this visualization, you ask your 5-year-old self for advice in context of this limiting belief. And now the last part is that I ask you to write that into a sentence. When you start thinking your limiting belief, you know it's not true because what's really true is, and then you can deliver that sentence. Okay, so far, this step. There is another quite powerful tool you can use. We are not going to do it now for a long time, but something where you can dig in deeper, because the question is always, how do I find my limiting beliefs? How do you gain perspective? Now, you can use this pyramid, and you can use it in a negative sense and in a positive sense, which is the beauty of this. I will start with a negative aspect because we are talking about limiting beliefs. Pick any result in your life that you are not happy with. I'm not happy with my career. I'm not happy with all the stress I have. I'm not happy with, the city I'm living in. I'm not happy that I'm so moody. I'm not happy because of my health. Whatever it is, take a negative result in your life and then reflect, going deeper into the pyramid, what kind of mindset and what kind of actions do you have that led to this kind of result? Because mindset and action always creates results. And so, for example, if I have a negative result, I have a job I don't like. Okay, what kind of mindset do you have so that you created a job that you don't like? And what kind of actions did you take that you have this job? For example, I followed the advice of my father, or I followed the advice of somebody else. Or a mindset could be, I'm always afraid that I don't have enough money. So I felt safe taking that job. Yeah, the intention is understandable, but that led to this result right now that you might not be happy with the job. You can put this in any context in your life, in any. Just take a negative result that you created and reflect about your mindset and your actions that led to this result. Because ultimately the message here is you are responsible for this result. And behind mindset and actions, there is another layer where we now come to the limiting beliefs. And now you can reflect, wow, so if I have this form of mindset, and if I took those form of actions, what kind of limiting beliefs might have triggered me to create such a mindset and to create those kind of actions that led to this negative result? And then you are on level 3 on this pyramid, and then you can identify and reflect about potential limiting beliefs. If it is too difficult for you to think about yourself, change the perspective and say, a person that created those results, what kind of mindset must he or she have? Or what kind of limiting beliefs might have triggered this person to create those kind of results? So this pyramid is a very easy way in identifying more limiting beliefs. And now I mentioned this is a negative form, but you can create it now also in a very strong and positive way. You can say, what is a great result you created? Or what is a great result that you want to create? And then you can reflect, what is the mindset I need? And what are the actions I need so that I create such a result? Or looking into the past, what kind of mindset did I have as a teenager so that I won that tournament? Or what kind of actions did I take so that I achieved this and that in my career? And again, then you go to the last level and say, what kind of empowering beliefs were helping me in that time of my life? Or what kind of empowering beliefs do I need in the future so that I create this positive result that I want in my life? So this method is simple. The doing might be tougher, but keep in mind, you can do this for yourself, asking, what does Peter need to do to create this result? Or you can look at a different person and say, a person who wants to change jobs, what kind of empowering belief or beliefs does such a person need? And then you have it associated to a different person, and that might help you to come up with more ideas. So this is just a tool I wanted to give you. You can go back to such a tool. You will see it here on the YouTube channel. You can go back to this slide. I wanted to bring it here because this is very powerful in digging deeper and gaining more access to your limiting beliefs. Now, and this is another set of questions that I'd like you to ask yourself for the limiting beliefs that you have identified. Is this belief really true? And ask really, really, really true. And look at facts. So people that work long hours, they are successful. Are they? Are they really? Can you find proof? Are there statistics that say people that work 14 hours or more, they have in the next 10 years a higher chance of being promoted, or they live a happier life, or whatever you strive for? Is there? Please try to find that report. So you're trying to find proof for that limiting belief. And usually what you find is close to nothing. You might find some justification. Hey, come on, I'm not supposed to be lazy at work. I should show engagement at work. And that's why, people that show engagement at work, they get promoted. Yes, that's true. But if you constantly have this thought of you need to do more to be successful, then you are in the self-sabotage mode. If you think about this once, yeah, that's normal to consider. How much effort do I put in? Does it make sense? Maybe you put in more because it's an important project. Maybe you love it. Okay. But if it's a constant pattern, then it's sabotage. So be aware of the quantity. Who would you be without such a limiting belief? What kind of opportunities would open up in your life if you would not have this limiting belief of, I need to perform, I need to give to others before I receive love, to pick an example? Who would you be? What would you free yourself up to? You create a certain form of mental space what can create, what will you become if you enter this space? And then we go down to the level of needs. If you're using, and if you are hijacked by a limiting belief in your adulthood today, what kind of need is hiding behind this kind of belief? So is it the need for love, which is somehow the base of a lot of things? Yeah, it could be the need of recognition, a need for safety, and so on. So what is the need? And if you see the actions you take as a strategy to fulfill the underlying need, if you take this pair, there is a need, and those are the actions, then suddenly you can decide, when you know the need, what kind of actions, what kind of strategies are better for you. Because up to now, you have been unconsciously following certain strategies in your life to fulfill your needs. But now when you bring your needs to your attention, and we are in step 1, awareness, if you bring to awareness your needs, you can consciously choose what other strategies there are to fulfill the same need. So if we talk about self-love, well, let's say social recognition. We are programmed for social recognitions. We are social humans, right? This is why we're trying to fit in, because that is just programmed in us. So, but if that is your need, but you have a limiting belief of being a people pleaser and everything everybody wants from me, I do first. That was your strategy of trying to fit in socially. But now that you become aware, you can choose, okay, I want to fit in socially. That's just a certain natural form of us on how we live together in this world. But what can I do different so that still this need of socially acceptance is there? I hang out with my friends. I hang out with my family. Maybe you ask you ask 5 big friends of yours to tell you what they love about you. You receive a lot of recognition, right? You don't need to fulfill any other's wishes at that point. You are the one who can receive at the moment. So you see my point? You can choose your strategy now. You are an adult and you have the power to do so. And if you want to bring this to a very small, and I come to the magic of small steps as well, to a small level, what kind of promise to yourself can you derive out of this context? For example, I promise myself to appreciate the free time I have, or I promise myself to talk to myself in a loving way. Such a promise is important because you can use it when we come to the action phase. Because visualizations, as you saw already with meeting your 5-year-old child, can be powerful. Using a promise once a week, I have the promise that I need more adventure in life because that makes me feel alive. It makes me overcome my fear. Okay, so if you promise that to you, every week you can make a tiny visualization. How is your next week when you go into a more adventurous mode? So here's my point. I'm breaking this down to something very small you can use on a daily or weekly basis. Now, we go into the next step, the state of action. So far, we understood where limiting beliefs come from. You identified a few of them, and you understood that in the adulthood, you can choose again what to do with this limiting belief. But first, you need awareness on how this limiting belief is showing up. And you might have an idea already for 1 or 2 of your limiting beliefs, what kind of emotions they create, what kind of actions and non-actions they have. And we did a visualization about it. I showed you this pyramid. And now we come to the state of action. And I want to start this state of action with a short visualization again. So if you want, keep your camera on. If not, you can turn it off again. And we go into another quick visualization. So again, take a deep inhale into your nose and exhale. Do that again. Inhale into the nose. And then exhale, closing your eyes. And now observe your body to relax. And now I want you to choose one of the limiting beliefs that you identified. And then I want you to choose one event in the past that you can remember well, where you were completely hijacked by this limiting belief. Maybe you remember certain emotions or certain actions you were taking because you were hijacked by this limiting belief. Picture this situation now. Look at the body language that you had at that moment. Look into your face. And now, think of the associated empowering belief that you want to choose today as an adult. What is the associated empowering belief that you prefer? And then imagine how this situation that you just imagined would have been if you were triggered by this empowering belief, by this positive belief. Imagine how you would have shown up. How would your body language have been? How were your gestures, your mimic? How would your face look like in that situation? If you weren't triggered by your limiting belief, but by the empowering belief. And now choose an event or any form or situation in the future that you know will trigger you being hijacked by your limiting beliefs. Because you know yourself best. Picture a situation where you know that there's a high risk of you being hijacked by your limiting beliefs. And again, picture yourself how you would usually react following that limiting belief. How would you talk? And what body posture would you be? How would you act and react following your limiting belief? And now again, take a deep inhale and exhale and picture that situation now following your empowering belief. How will you show up in the future in that situation? Following an empowering belief and not being hijacked by the limiting belief. How's your body language? How's your posture? How do you talk? How do your eyes look like? How do you feel in that situation if you're following your empowering belief? Now take another inhale and let's slowly come back. This form of visualization I recommend you to do on a regular basis, no matter what of limiting belief you have. And here's a little bit of reflecting that you can take out of such an exercise. I call it game, guide, and move. Those are the three things. So what I mean by this is, for example, if that limiting belief is I'm not worthy, and you had an empowering belief such as I'm deserving love, respect, and abundance, what could be a game, guide, and move? A game could be try to invent a game that helps you to reflect about the positive side of this empowering belief. So a game could be I'm worthy because. So every morning on your way to work, you could ask yourself, I'm worthy because. What will be my impact today out of this empowering belief. And then you have a tiny little habit that you can create in your day. Not only that, what is a positive example in your direct environment or some famous people that fit to this belief, that had this belief before, but now they don't? So I choose the Oprah Winfrey, one example. She had a lot of self-doubts when she started her career, but she was able to overcome them and create a lot of impact. So it's interesting to go back to the initial part of people that inspire you and see what kind of limiting beliefs they had. And usually those people are sharing those kind of thoughts. And then you have an example and you see what a transformation can do. And the move is associated to your body. I already asked you about body language. How is your body when you are in the limiting belief? Is it anger? Is it fear? How is the body language? And how is the body language when you're fully embracing the empowering belief? Are you raising up your arm? Because that anyway is a success pose that we naturally have in us. Yeah, that gives us a lot of positivity. Or is there any other pose? A physical pose. And when you do visualizations, play with this. Play with the posture of your limiting beliefs. Is it fear? Is it aggression? Or whatever it might be. And then play with the other posture of an empowering belief. Your body understands that language. And you need to incorporate your body, because if you do not, the body is your pathway towards your emotions, right? And if you don't want to walk through this world only with half of your brain, only using your logical brain, you want to use the other side as well, and you want to activate the other side as well. And you do that with your body.
Peter, sorry to interrupt. I sent you a message. Can you look at your chat?
Yes. Give me a sec. Hold on.
Hello. Did you see in the chat box? I sent you a chat.
No, I haven't seen that yet.
It's in the, okay. Let me just.
I lost a little bit the steering here. Okay, hold on. I need to get it back.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's all good. Yep. Okay, guys. To wrap this up for you, I'll go back to my screen for you. So what I want you to, all good. So what I want you to remember, and to summarize this, changing your limiting beliefs means changing your brain. And as I mentioned, everything in your brain is soft-wired. Your experiences are soft-wired. So you have certain triggering events, and right now your brain is used to react in one way. So that is really like a highway in your brain, because it has been trained probably for decades to react in this way. But now I want you to create a new pathway in your brain, and that obviously needs exercise. So tiny little habits are the key for creating a reaction in your brain that is then really soft-wired, so that you're following your empowering belief. So my message here is how you do that. Build a mental muscle means building really new neural pathways. And science has shown this is possible already after 3 weeks of daily practice of, for example, a visualization like we just did. Awareness is the key towards the tiny little decisions you take on a daily basis. Do not try to change your life in a day. Do not search for the epiphany and suddenly the limiting beliefs are gone, but work constantly and with very small measures on breaking through your limiting beliefs and reprogram your brain for an empowering reaction. And I mentioned this at the beginning. The strategy is called pause and choose. Pause when you're triggered and bring awareness to what's going on in front of you, and then you can choose what you really want to do. So my message to you, create urgency on a daily basis, but make it very small. Maybe it's 3 minutes per day. It's too small to not do it. But in these 3 minutes, you are dedicated to tackle that limiting belief that is holding you back most. Yeah. Give you one example. Sports was for me important because it helped me to gain recognition. And obviously no longer it is, because I never became a professional athlete. And even if there is a day where I'm not able to. So now I do 3 minutes of sport every day, because this is me and my energy, and I remember that, and I know it's associated to this limiting belief. And just those 3 minutes help me to be very much aware of this trigger I have and take decisions that are more empowering for me. You can use journaling for this as well. It doesn't need to be anything physical, but in general, use positive and tiny habits that help you to transform those limiting beliefs. And then by the end of the week, have a look on how it went well or not. And then you can adjust. Oh, 3 minutes, it still didn't work. Okay, maybe 2, maybe it's 1 minute. So I want you to have a tiny little thing on a daily basis. And then I want you to create a weekly reflection based on it. That creates the magic. The little daily consistent measures are responsible for transformation. And if there's one thing you take out of this, is exactly this. The tiny little measures, which is why morning routines, evening routines, a weekly reflection are so powerful, because they are small and they're adding up. If you improve 1% per day, you are 28 times better after 1 year. That is just math. So work on that 1% and don't try to be 10 times better tomorrow. And that's basically my message to you. And that was also my last slide.
You didn't look at my face. You don't know me.
Wow.
And I hope this was inspiring for you. And here you see where you find me on LinkedIn or wherever. And basically my triangle is mindset, purpose, vision, because then we are inspired and powerful people. So thank you so much for having the opportunity here to present. And the summit was so far very inspiring for me. And I hope I was able to inspire some of you. Thank you very much.
Wow. Peter, before you go, I was just telling one of my co-anchors that this is a 3 hours material. Like, you should have sent us the memo that we were coming for 3 hours, and we've told everybody this is a 3 hour session, because I could see us rushing it. I'd like to, Mampai, are you free to turn on your camera? I need to hear your thoughts on this. There's just so much to unpack here. Can we have you, Mampai? I'm not putting you on the spot. Nena, can you turn on your camera? Itunu, can you turn on your camera? I want us to do this together. So Itunu, tell me, when you were meeting that your 5-year-old self, how did you feel?
When I logged on, I wasn't planning on crying. When I literally started to shed tears when I had that conversation with my 5-year-old self, it was really emotional, because it just showed me that, like, there was this little person who had so much hope, so much, like a carefree attitude, didn't have a thought in the world, wanted to basically conquer the world. And then little by little, listening to that inner voice that keeps telling you that, oh, you can't do that, or you're not enough, or you're going to feel like that, and then little by little, you just start to dim that light until you're barely like a shadow of yourself. And then meeting that 5-year-old self, I literally started to shed tears. I'm in the office and I'm shedding tears. Like, it's insane. This is a session that I'm going to go back and it's not something you watch once and then you just pass on. You need to go back and watch, because these visualizations are things you need to give yourself continuously to make yourself understand. Like, what I just kept telling myself was, you are enough, you can do it, you are not going to fail, you are enough, there's nothing you put your mind to that you can't do. Thank you so much, Peter. This was a real wake-up call. Like, you can't understand how much you've just, like spoken to that little girl on the inside and this big girl on the outside, and you have just told me that everything is in your head, really, and you can change the thoughts. You can change the way you think about yourself. You can change the way you see yourself. You can change, you can transform your mind just by basically telling yourself, just changing those limiting thoughts into empowering thoughts. And this is just like a connection to what Mopai shared yesterday. So it's just like a continuation. It's just basically hearing the same thing over and over, telling you, you can change who you are by basically just changing your mind. And it's as simple as telling yourself you are enough. It's that simple, really. So thank you. I'm so glad I'm at this.
You're welcome. Thank you for
Peter,
sharing.
I didn't want us to gloss over it. I wanted you to hear. That's why I said, this material is really powerful. This wasn't something we're really supposed to do in 1 hour. So for me, and I'm still almost tearing up, when I met my 5-year-old self, I appreciated what I've gone through. I didn't know I'd gone through this much till I was talking to the little girl. So Kemi, over to you. You got to help me with this. I'm getting too emotional.
Yeah, you should have chosen maybe guys. Okay, so you've heard the emotions. So I'm not going to talk about that. But for me, it's always good to be told that, where they come from. And it's a result of where those beliefs come from. And that's what's shaping us today. So it's like, watch out for the triggers. And I like the fact that you told us that, what are the beliefs? What emotions are associated with them? And they tend to be the triggers. Like maybe you get an email from your boss and it triggers an emotion. And then, there's an action to it, and then and when you don't, have a counter action, then it just perpetuates. So, and visualization, of course, that's why we're all crying, because you made us go there. And that's also a limiting belief. Like sometimes you just don't want to confront your 5-year-old. You just don't want to confront it. So thank you so much. And thank you for bringing your picture. Dankeschön. Wish you all the best.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thanks for this opportunity, and keep on doing the daily work. It will transform.
Thank you so much, Peter, and Kemi, thank you for bringing me on track. Our second speaker is here and is ready to go. For people that joined in late, you have to watch the replay. Like, you can't understand why we are crying. That's why you're like this. If you are coming early, you would have understood. Nena, you said you couldn't turn on your camera, but can you just speak? Just give a very short feedback. Mayowa, I got here.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you so much. And yes, the same kind of, first of all, I actually wrote that it was uncomfortable because I tried to understand. So how did this 5-year-old get to where she is now? What happened? So that really unnerved me. It wasn't comfortable at all. And then when the conversation was going on, one of the things I actually heard was, it was like my 5-year-old telling me, you be you, just be you. Like, it was like, why are you losing yourself to opinions? Why are you losing yourself to what has happened or things that have happened around you? You just go back and be you. And even as you were all now talking, to be honest, I didn't cry then, but it hit me like, okay, what exactly has happened? And I actually saw myself get into that emotional side again. But it's this is my first time. A friend actually sent me the link today. So this is actually my first day. And for me to be this impacted, it's just amazing. I want to say thank you, Peter, and thank you all the organizers. This is a wake-up call for me, and I'm going to take it head on. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Nena.
Thanks.
Yesterday was amazing, like we are building up. This is the third session. We're about to enter the fourth session. And as Kemi said, healing is taking place. So, Mayowa is here. Mayowa is my brother. Hey, like, You know, there are people that you have in your life and you know that God got your back. Mayowa is one of them. For people that we didn't play this yesterday, I'm playing this now. Then I'll be bringing up Mayowa Olusoji.
Read NGR is a non-profit, non-governmental, and non-religious platform created to produce ethical millionaires, thought leaders, and change agents who are motivated to create positive changes in the sands of time across the globe. Our definition of a millionaire is someone who is able to give a million in any currency he or she is earning to a worthy cause of your choice that will bring about transformational effects to the society at large. We aim to produce a minimum of 10 millionaires across the globe. This we intend to achieve by providing a platform that supports individuals to develop and maintain healthy habits and make better day to day decisions through acquisition of the right knowledge and ideas. We encourage people to reach and fulfill their potential by exposing them to global leaders, role models, and mentors who have made a positive impact in this generation, deploying the social media platform to connect mentees to mentors, one person at a time, a day at a time, a habit at a time. We read a book a month and also have a webinar a month to address aching issues raised in the course of the month. We are poised to raise world class leaders who will utilize their resources and abilities to effect the changes that the world desires. Below are our social media handles.
Okay, so this is us in Read. And you can see that is what this is just all about. For you to become the very best version of yourself. And that's why Peter just resonated with me the first time I met him on LinkedIn. Like, you are not broken. You don't need to be fixed. There's nothing wrong with you. You've got everything. Now, it's all about producing ethical millionaires. All this, everything we've been saying from yesterday till today, because with all those limiting beliefs, that's one thing I've realized in my course of interaction. The reason you are not poor, you are just misinformed. You are in the wrong environment, you have the wrong ideas, but you are not poor. If you can discover yourself, discover who you are, money will come like this. So now we're moving to the money game with no other person. I wanted to bring it in so that you understand that everything ties and it was strategic. Now I'm going to be playing my brother's profile. Like, this is somebody that I have to be associated with now. I can't have my wife, my life, and be poor. How? Let's see Mayowa's profile.
Mayowa Olusoji is a consummate investment banker with over 20 years of experience in the field of investment banking and transactions. He is known for simplifying complex information and is an expert in interpreting and analyzing data. He is a finance coach at Smart Steward and holds an MBA from Leeds Business School in the UK. He is also an entrepreneur, a seasoned project consultant, an avid reader, and a life coach. Additionally, he is the founder of Power to Know and No Be Do Champion.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me see your favorite emoji as we bring up Mayowa Olusoji, my personal person. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, good evening, depending on where you are in the world and what time you're going to be watching this replay. But right now in the United Kingdom, it's a little past 1. So good afternoon there. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I think this is about the second time I'm speaking, so it's a privilege I don't take for granted. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I just came in just before Peter finished, and honestly, Peter, you know, from the feedback I heard and from a little reading I've done, I think it's so important when you fix the mind. See, the battle is always, the enemy is not outside. You know, my enemy is inner me. If you can fix that inner man, what people say about you outside does not matter. is what you say to the inner self. Those voices when you go to bed and you sleep between your head. So thank you for that amazing session. I wish I could make it, but I had to jump from one thing to another to be here, but the feedback is great. So thank you very much for your time, Peter. I hope we connect sometime soon. You know, I like to connect with great minds. Thank you very much, Reed. So today we are talking about money. You know, I love the, what's it called? I love the theme, which is man, machine, and money. There has never been a time in history that this is so important for us to understand the relationship between the three than we are right now. So I've got a few slides I'd like to share. I've been told I have 40 minutes. This is something I love teaching about money. So when you see me going on so much, just drop me a message and just say, calm down, Coach Emo, you know what I'm saying? We'll come back later. So I've got a few slides I would like to share. If you can kindly permit me to share them, would appreciate that now. Let me just go into the PPX mode. Is it going to allow me using the same screen?
Yes.
Let me see. Okay. Bear with me one moment. Let me try and fix that. Share the screen. Let's share this. Let's hope if I share that. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir. This is not financial advice. It's educational, not entertainment.
Thank you very much. It's important I start with this. The reason is because in the finance world, we've seen it all, whereby you say something in a session, you talk about a company, then people go ahead, and before you know it is construed as a financial. Even right now, they are fighting, and to actually see even you put an emoji at the end of a comment could actually be construed as a financial advice. So the disclaimer here is this is not financial advice. This is only for educational purposes only. So everything I say today is just to educate myself and yourself. I hope we are happy with that. Thank you very much. So now let's get the ball rolling. Okay, man, machine, and money. And again, my sister, thank you very much once again. And it's true, you're indeed a sister. We always bump into each other in the DMs, Telegram, and WhatsApp. So thank you for that. So I'm going to get cracking. I have a lot to cover. I will not go into as much depth as I would like, but what I'll do there is I would give you pointers based on what I know right now, based on the information available to me right now, based on the data available right now. And I hope you know that facts do change. It's only the truth that remains. So the facts now might not be the same thing, the next moment. So we're going to be talking mostly about facts, but we're going to be talking about some truth. So I would like to start with the truth. And this is, life is governed by principles. This is crucial. Your ability for you to be, let you succeed, to be prosperous, to be elevated in any sphere, it's up to three key things: your knowledge, your understanding, and application of the principles that govern that sphere. Why is that important? There are different principles that govern different spheres. It's just like on Earth, we know that gravity is a principle. But when you get into water, water is still on Earth, but when you get into water, then you now get into the principle of flotation. So it doesn't matter if you have 20 PhDs. If you don't know how to swim and you jump into a river, you will drown. Why? Because you did not recognize the principle at work in that area. So that is why it's very important. So if you're struggling in any area, don't just generalize life as a whole. What you need to do there is, okay, which area of my life is it that I'm actually struggling? And the next thing is, what are the principles that are actually guiding that particular sphere? Because you can be successful in terms of your finances, and you can struggle when it comes to your relationship and marital life, because there are different principles that governs them. Though it is still the same you, and you wonder, why is it that I'm an awesome doctor and I'm awesome engineer, but I'm terrible with managing money? The reason is because you've mastered the principle that govern that field, but you've neglected the principle that govern the other field. So that is always what I start with in terms of understanding that principles. And principles are immutable. They are respected of nobody. Anywhere you apply them, they work. This is a quote from my favorite book. I love reading. I believe every problem in life is already written in a book somewhere. It's our responsibility to find the book where it is in. And my book says, the children of Issachar, that means a particular group of people. And these are the people that, there's something very important, two things I'm going to take out of here. These are the people that have the understanding of the times. It never stopped there. It now said, and for them to know what a particular nation, a particular group of people, a particular segment, a particular demographic ought to do. So the two things it's telling you there is your ability to know that timing is everything. Most importantly, your ability to identify the timing and your ability to know what is it you ought to do within each of the time. It's like an investment world. In investing world, you don't just invest anytime you feel like. There are seasons. Life is cyclical. There are bear markets, there are bull markets. There are times when the market is doing nothing. The best investors are the people who have the understanding of knowing what are the timings we are in right now. And one of the good things about understanding there is it aids your ability to make decisions and actions. And trust me, right now, your life where you are right now is a sum total of all the decisions you've made. And understanding gives you direction. So, you know, in England here, we have about 4 seasons. I know sometimes in England, you can have all the 4 seasons in one day. We have different seasons. Your ability to dress right in the season depends on your understanding of knowing what season are we in right now. If it's summer, you don't wear your winter coat. If it's winter, you don't dress in summer. It's your performance is always matched with your ability to understand what time you're operating in. And the question I want to ask everyone there is, what time is it right now? In your finances, what time is it right now? But it is not only important for me to ask that question as to you, because there are 3 categories of environments you're in: your personal economy, your immediate economy, and the global economy. You cannot operate all by yourself because we live in a connected world. So when I'm asking you what time is it right now, I'm talking about your personal timing in terms of understanding the season. The nation you're in, their timing in understanding the season. Because I know in Nigeria just entered a new dispensation because there is a new government. And the first thing the president did was to make an announcement that took the price of a commodity 100x. However, people outside of that nation are not directly feeling the impact as much. But there's also that global agenda. So what is the timing globally? What is the timing nationally? And what is your timing personally? So how do these 3 things come together? Understanding the time, there are 3 key points I want to take out from here. The first one there is for you to understand that we are in the middle of the greatest wealth creation ever. I remember about 30 years ago, Bill Gates was about, I think he was about the richest man in the world then. And then his net worth was around $30 to $40 billion then. And we thought that was a huge amount of money. But right now, the richest man as of today is Bernard Arnault, the LV guy, and is worth around $208 billion. So it's telling us that we are at a junction in history whereby we're going through the greatest wealth creation and wealth transfer we've ever seen in the history of man. And coming with that also, we are in the middle of the major change in world order. I'm going to come to this later. And the third point I'll be touching on today is We are at the start of the biggest innovative, disruptive, decentralized, globalized, and network world. We are seeing disruption, we are seeing decentralization, we are seeing globalization, and we're seeing the network and the connection. So relating the understanding of the time and how they actually play in these three key areas. About 2-3 weeks ago on the TV, I saw this, which for the first time in over 20 years, a paralyzed man was able to walk again. What does that mean? And I think it was the same day or 2 days after, I now read in the paper that FDA in America have actually given Elon Musk, the approval to do human tests on the brain implant. And I now began to connect the dots. So that means paralysis could actually be a thing of history, just like all those diseases we knew in the past are now a thing of history. You could remember 30, 50, 60 years ago when malaria was killing people and they thought it was some gods that were doing something. So we've been ushered into another age that is aided by a different force that is making some things that seemed almost impossible to be possible. And at the same time, we are now beginning to see the relationship and the interlink between the man and the machine. This is important. The reason is because when you talk of ethics, there are questions being asked in terms of, is it ethical to actually plant a chip in somebody? I'm quite neutral on this, because at the same time, look at the upside of this. Now gives a man who's been lamed for over 30 years the ability to walk again. So today we're not looking at the ethical side of things, but rather we're looking at it from the financial perspective. So when I normally start and said, okay, in the world of finances, what is going to happen in the future? What are we likely to see? What is the future like? The first question there is, imagine Nostradamus, whereby you have a crystal ball to see, okay, what is actually going to, you know those days when they give back to a child and they will take the child to somewhere, depending on your religious belief, in terms of, can you tell us, what is it to be of this child? What are they trying to do? They're trying to look into the future of the child so that they can actually prepare the child very well for the future. But right now, based on what we know so far, based on facts, there is no way we can predict the future accurately. Well, the word predicts tells us that, it's just a guessing game. We throw many darts and whichever catches. And the second thing there is, the future can only be predicted so far by us looking at the past and saying, what are the past trends? That is why when you apply for a particular role, they'll ask us, can we get past references? Your past references shouldn't be an indication of who you are and what you're going to do in the future. But based on history, things seems to repeat itself. So that is why people always look through your past and say, okay, before I employ you, can I get a reference from your last 3 employers? Basically, I want to see the pattern, because most of the time, people rarely deviate from patterns. I believe in change. I believe in being a better version of yourself. But so far, the past has been the best predictor of the future. So it's not saying, let's look to the past. How has the past worked? Let us use that now as a navigator to see how the future is going to be like. And while we're doing that, we look into, okay, what are the things that has happened in the past? We look through the Industrial Revolution. And then we look through, okay, what is this case with money? Because all of these things are propelled, are oiled, are fueled by money. And most importantly, what is that future we're all trying to guess? What is that future we're all trying to get to? So a quick history class. Let's go back to the past and see, what does the past Industrial Revolution has looked like? What has it been? We know we had the first major break. I think there are different school of thought on this. Some people will say we're in the 5th Industrial Revolution. Some will say we're in the 6th. Some will say we're in the 7th, whatever we call it. But most importantly, it is not about what number we're in. It's actually about understanding what is happening between them. all of a sudden, when we went from, riding horses and all of that, we started having steam engine. 18th century, there was what? Innovation, there was boom. People can travel faster. That means commerce could go wider than your geographical location. And after that, we had that for a very long time. That was happening. Then we had the second one. And this is where we now begin to have powered machineries. We now begin to have no longer steam this time around. Now we now begin to have electricity. We can light the house. When we can light the house, we can do a lot of things. And we know up till now, part of the foundation of what we're benefiting from right now is actually electricity. Take out electricity right now and poof, what we're doing right now is not possible. And then from there, and each time there is an industrial revolution, there is wealth creation because there are better products, there are more products, and then that means you're creating value. And then we now got into one of the best, what I call ages, is actually the third one. It could be the fourth in some people's opinion. That is computer and internet-based knowledge. All of a sudden, we moved from the agricultural age. We moved from in terms of factory operation age, we moved into the knowledge era. We moved into an era whereby knowledge is valid. We moved into a knowledge whereby information is readily available. We moved into that age. I can remember very well, my dad got the first telex machine. That thing had its own room where we put it in. That thing is so massive. And what does it do? It's just for you to be able to send information from one country to another. Very humongous thing like that. And computer and internet now begin to revolutionize how that works. And suddenly we started having things smaller, things faster. And as that happens, our way of life began to change. What we are doing now was never possible 50, 60 years ago. So as much as Mrs. T has this amazing, brilliant idea, it would have been difficult for her to reach beyond a geographical location if she was born 60, 70, 80 years ago, and the dream was to be fulfilled then. She would be limited. But right now, the Industrial Revolution removed the limitation. Right now, you can see anywhere you are in the world and communicate with others as if it's real time. And shortly after then, we now went into what we have now, which is now the artificial intelligence and information technology. To me, this is the greatest, because this is all through the times, man is being actively involved, man is being actively involved, man is being actively involved. However, we've suddenly ushered ourselves into a dispensation whereby man's involvement will begin to reduce over time. This is very, very important. That means how man values work. Already by now, we know that is changing. When COVID happens, we all realize we don't need to jump into traffic 4 a.m. because you want to get to one office 3 hours later because you want to have just a 2-hour meeting to say yes or no and travel that same thing back. Industrial Revolution changed the way we work, the way we live, most importantly, the way we generate income. All of a sudden, right now, we're doing this through Zoom. As we're doing this, somebody's making money. It's being monetized. It is not only the person who is actually owns the company, but people that owns the shares. So we can see how that is actually generating. So we can see the pattern. So right now, where are we?
Okay, sorry, Mayowa. I'd like this to be a bit interactive. Please, can you go back to that slide?
Okay.
Very interesting. Yes, I love your example on electricity, which is true. Without, like, electricity changed everything. Thomas Edison is my man. From electricity, we started producing and producing. We went to the computer age, more money. Now we are in the artificial intelligence age, which people are finding very scary. And that is why we even picked this topic at all. the school of thought like, oh, machine is about to take over our jobs because machines will be doing everything. And now you are telling us this is the best time to be born. So tell us, how can we practically leverage on this advantage? A lot of people are scared. What do we need to do?
To answer your question is actually, the answer to your question is somewhere down the line, but I'll bring it
Okay.
part of it back.
Okay.
One thing you should never be scared of is never be scared of innovation. Do you know why? Innovation does not respect your opinion. It does not respect my opinion. It's true. Okay, let's go back to those days when we had horses. People had horse owners were going fast, When Henry Ford came up with the car, what happens to the horse owners? If you don't quickly get on the production line and get a car, people were being left behind. There was panic, there was fear. All the people who were making money through horses, all of a sudden, something is coming that could run 100 times faster, last longer, and created more jobs, created more wealth. Because when you have a car manufacturing factory, you have workers that would work there, you have people that will mine the oil, people that will transform the oil to put the oil in the car. When the car breaks down, you have the mechanics that will fix it. When they finish fixing it, you have the vulcanizers that will fix the tires. So I want you to see this just like any other time we have been through. And if you noticed, as this thing changes, a lot of jobs became redundant. When we went from those blue-collar jobs, people who used to just go to work and sit down and write papers, when computer came, a lot of clerks became jobless because all of a sudden you can automate what you need to do. All of a sudden there is a change. What human beings need to understand you need to understand what makes you a human. What makes you a human is not your ability to do repetitive tasks. What makes you a human is your ability to have creative thinking, creative solution, and your analytical abilities. Those are the things that are unique to you. That is why, okay, I'll get a little bit ahead of myself. In this age we are in now, people are saying a lot of job losses, but we've not seen anything yet. But we're not seeing anything new, to be honest. Why? Because it's because we were not impacted by the computer age. That is why we didn't have too much worry. Most of us grew into that age. Do you know how many people were made redundant when they went from human beings building cars to machine building cars in industrial factories? So there is always a threat to a way we're doing things. But do you know what has happened? 30 years ago, is there any job called social media or content creation? Imagine you are a lady, Mrs. Kemi, and you want to introduce your husband to your daddy. Let's say 30, 40 years ago. And they say, young man, what do you do? And says, oh, I'm a content creator, I'm an influencer. I bet it's going to show him the door. But right now, if a man says he's a content creator, we understand that he's using his intellectual prowess to generate resources. Even some people, if you still tell them content creation right now, they still frown, they still raise an eyebrow. Hold on, man, what are you talking about? So it's about understanding. That is why life is a moving target. That's why it spins, it evolves round. Your ability to be on the same spot means at the least you must move. That is just for you to remain relevant, to stay on the same place, you must move. Your ability to be ahead of the curve means you must move twice as much so that you're not in the same position. So if you think staying and not doing anything, life is designed to make you redundant. It is the way the law works. It's the principle. You can't change that. That is why continual renewal, it's a present continuous tense. You have to continue to improve and better yourself. What happens if you have a child and the child is a baby, and after a year or 2, 3 years, the child never grows, what do you say? You say there's a problem, isn't it? And that is the same thing with life. Anywhere there is no growth, death, is actually around the corner. That is why they will tell you, even if you don't use your muscles, they become weak. And after a while, they give way. Man is designed for progress through movement. So I will quickly, I like the question you've picked out, Mrs. T, and I will get to that. I just want to drop a few nuggets because I really dwelled on that. Okay, this is just something to show you in terms of, I know I've been able to just answer your question a little bit.
Yes, I needed for us to bring it home.
To bring it home, okay. So what I'm going to, what I said was, see, you've got nothing to worry about. Why? God got you, so nothing to worry about. Don't let anybody use AI propaganda to bamboozle you anywhere. We are very relevant. It's just about we understanding what is our relevance.
And for me, I'm making this conversation, and it's you and I now. One of the things I've noticed through the trend is, as we are moving from one age to the other, it's like the money is increasing. This money we are calling. Yeah.
See the number of trillions that were there in 1987. Look at what it is then. There's no money is a mindset, just like Peter said. See, abolish that thing. There's never been a better time to create wealth than we are in right now. So please, and it's got nothing to do with nation. Thank God we are not bound by geographical locations anymore. So don't say Nigeria is not working. Who told you? You are within the wrong circle. I know people that Nigeria is working for them like oil. When you rub oil on the body, they are glowing. It's a fact. I know people who are doing EA and PA in Nigeria for people all over the world. They've got 2, 3, 4, 5, and they are making much more than a bank manager does in a month. And they are in the corner of their home raising their children. What are you telling me about? We'll come to that. I will slow down. I don't want to break any table yet. So, so
break. We are here to be broken.
Break the table. Look at this graph here. This graph is telling you, look at the progression. You could see in 2008, when we had the financial global crisis and everything dumped, and people think that's the end of the world, people jumping off the roof and all of that. If you jump off the roof, you just kill yourself. Oh, it's got nothing, because why? We went back to where we were and we outpaced that. So the current financial problem, whatever the world is saying they are going through now, it is just a dot in the graph of the progression of wealth creation over time. And I've only just gone as far back as 1997. So I'm telling you, possibility is plenty. So rise of the machines, when we say rise of the machines, in terms of that, in the last 20, 30 years, there's one company I can pick out of all the companies that has changed lives. And that is Apple. And this is one of the reasons why I put the disclaimer that I'm not making recommendation to anybody. We are only learning. It seems every time Apple has created a product, it has found a way to change the way we live. Before the iPhone came out, all of us were using all those keypad phones, Motorola, Nokia, not 9 knots, where we'll be looking for the button there, flip phone, all of those things. And when iPhone came, iPhone changed. What iPhone did was, iPhone put a phone in a computer, not a computer in a phone. And it changed the way we interact with the phones forever. All of a sudden, they discovered there was a niche between your phone and your laptop or your desktop. And they brought up something called an iPad. And globally, that has become a great success. Now we have a space for a tablet, which we never did until they brought that out. When that happened, they decided, okay, we need to change the way we interact with music. They came out with iTunes and iPods. I still have an iPod. Though it's been decommissioned right now, but I still have one. It changed the way we interacted with music. So it meant we don't need to buy a whole album anymore. If it's one track you like, buy the single track and enjoy it. And then we had the MacBook. And then last week, they came out with what I call the game changer, the Vision Pro. If you've not taken time to watch that particular demonstration, please go and watch it. Why am I saying that? I believe in 10, 15, 20 years from now, there will not be monitors almost like we don't have phones with keypads anymore. The way you interact and consume content is going to change completely. I was watching it before coming on today, and I was flabbergasted at how you can actually now have your laptop in your computer in your eyes. When you adjust it, you can zoom the screen further or nearer to you. And by the switch of your fingers, you can begin to pick icons. You can go into your app stores. You can go into your video. You can do 3D calling. You can do video recording. So you can lie on the bed and you can be walking and you can minimize it. And you can, I watched that today and I was like, wow, this is going to change the way we interact and consume content forever. And slowly, we're talking about machines. Slowly, 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 it is becoming a part of our lives. I pulled up this just for us to say in terms of what is happening. For the first time, this particular recruitment organization, for the first time in history, there is a line which is attributed to the reason for job losses is from what? Artificial intelligence. This is just only starting. We would see more of that. You can see the rise of the robo-advisors on the left, which tells us what we had in 2017. And by 2027, look at the growth in what is going to happen. And that's my question. Is it man or machine, man and machine, or man versus machine? Now, this is something that's got to do with your mindset. It's either you think it's man and machine and you leverage the technology, or you think it's man versus machine. And if you try that, go and watch Terminator. It did not end too well for man. So for you as an individual, you cannot compete. Why? It's because of the sheer computable power available and resources to the machine. So once you know it is man and machine, you leverage what you can do and let the machines do the rest. So it is you beginning to think in terms of, okay, it is not man versus machine. And this is the propaganda going out right now. AI is going to take some of the basic manual tasks we're doing now. It is much more cost effective. That's the truth. AIs don't ring in sick. If they break down, they will fix them. They will continue to work. AI don't have emotional issues. Machines don't have all of those things. All of those things, they are part of the packages that comes with man, and we understand it. We embrace it. But when it comes to the place of where machines are best at, so why don't we leave our cars and be running and be walking to work and say we don't want to do machine versus man? We still use the car. The car is still a machine. We get into it, we sit down, we push a button, it drives. And I was looking through this company again, and I was saying that there is a sheer, it is, well, number one, it's the most valuable company in the world. It is 2.7 trillion, much more valuable than a group of countries combined together. And what drew my attention most is what I want you to pay attention to is the one on the right. It is Apple's services that is actually bigger than even what Boeing or Nike are making, not Apple's products. It is the services they are rendering. So when we think Apple, most of us, we think of the hardware we have. However, most of these companies, where they're making most of their profits and wealth is not usually from these hardware components. It's from the softwares, it's from the solution, it's from the services they're creating. When you begin to see it like that, your question there is, how do I position myself to actually be a service provider. Somehow they found a
Mayowa, I have to jump in again. I mean, that is crazy. Kemi, like one idea, one person's idea is when we say these things, and I'm getting more audacious in saying it for the people on the call and the people that are listening to us. We can sit down and complain and whine for as long as we want to. But when we understand that the creative juice is in here, we start thinking differently. The first time I saw Apple figure, I looked back. How can one person's idea be more than the GDP of an entire country? That governors, the president, everybody sitting down, all of you together, one person's idea. I was looking at one video today. I was going to share it with you. I'll share it with you after this. I wanted to weep. I have non-Africans on this call, but I have majorly Africans, so I can say this to us. That's 33 currencies in Africa. None of it is fit to be used. We still move from country to country within ourselves, and the only thing we can talk about is dollars. Africans, come on, arise. And this is when we say these things, we don't say it from a demotivating point of view. We are saying it from an opportunity point of view. That whoever can come up to think, instead of you to sit down and be thinking that you're unfortunate, but you understand that you can sit down and think of something that would unify the continent. You're going to create a space for yourself in history, number one. You're going to create value for yourself. All the guys that are doing this, they don't have 2 heads. They don't have 10 heads. It's just there. I just wanted us to like bring it home for us, because this is a session where we are challenging ourselves for exponential growth. Exponential growth for me is not you making 2 times your salary, 3 times your salary. There's nothing exponential about that. That just, anybody can do that. But exponential growth is that you are sitting down and you're rivaling yourself with countries. You are rivaling yourself with global leaders. Over to you, Mayowa. This is your show, it's not mine. Thank you.
I love that so much, because do you know that Aramco is second to Apple? Aramco is all the oil wealth of Saudi Arabia. So please, a country has oil, they are not, forget it. Look at the top 5 most valuable companies in the world. Aramco is the only oil company there. What is that telling you? That's telling you got to look beyond it, because because Nigeria has oil for a while. Everybody just got fixated on oil. You see, the shocker is coming in the next 30 years. Why do you think the people in the Middle East are spending trillions to build cities? Why are they floating Aramco? Because when oil becomes water, and oil will become water, because renewable energy comes, oil becomes useless. See, this thing is live, I'm going to be jumping, I'm picking things, I was going to do, okay, let me go through the presentation, but thank you, Mrs. T, you've got to understand that. See, something is coming. And everywhere I go, I tell people, something is coming. See, most of us here, we missed when Apple started. We missed when they were saying .com bubble and all this thing, 1999. Most of us are just waiting up, is my computer going to crash? Is this going to happen? While some people are strategically positioning themselves because they have the understanding that at the end of every burst, Phoenix always rises. And that is when the Amazon shut up. Who remembers AOL, American Online, AOL.com? Those are relic of history. Enron, those were the companies that we thought were going to make it. But what happened? Then the Apples, the Teslas, the Amazons. My question is, something you need to be aware of. See, this is not the time whereby you spend all day looking on your Instagram and your data is only for rubbish. Sorry, not rubbish, but your data is only for you to be gossiping and knows.
Please say it as it is. Say it as it is.
Thank you very much.
Value to you is rubbish. It's as simple as that.
This is the time where you consume information that changes your destiny. And I will say this with all confidence, and I can come back in 10 years and I'll defend it. We are at a junction whereby the opportunity we lost back then. See, this is what is making me to run. I missed one chance when we could have bought Apple shares and Amazon shares for $110. Amazon is almost $3,000 now. Now another set of opportunities coming because the global financial infrastructure is changing. And for the first time in history, there are multiple factors influencing the change. If you really think that you are an Uber driver and you are safe, I'm sorry, it is not. I'm going to jump, pardon me, I'm going to jump straight to all of these things. We're not going to look into what changing order. We all know what's going to happen. See, power is changing. And it happens every almost 50, 60 years thereabout. There was a time it was the Dutch. There was a time it was the pounds. I remember then when I was growing up, my grandma, until when she died, she was still referring to Nigeria as £2, when pound was the global standard. American dollar was the global standard because of whatever's history. I'll send the slide so you can share it, the history of how that happens. But right now, it is on the decline. Another world power is coming up. The question there is, how does that play into the narrative of what is coming? I don't want to talk about all of that. Look at that in terms of what is happening. By 2028, IMF themselves saying China will be what? The world's biggest economy. India is the third. Japan is the fourth. Now, out of all of those countries, look at the top 7. How many of them is actually Europe? For all you jackpot, nothing is wrong with jackpot. It's a good thing, but when you jackpot logically.
Jackpot with sense.
So that don't jackpot based on where you are. Don't make your financial decisions right now based on where you are. See, in baseball, when they're going to throw the ball, the batter does not swing based on where the ball will be, where the ball is coming. It's going to swing based on where the ball is going. So your timing and the arrival of the ball, when they come together, it creates an home run. And this is where we talk about the BRICS. I was going to tell us about the BRICS, what happened with the BRICS nations. They are coming, the new emerging power. They are the ones in which, are they going to be the new world order? We don't know, because between themselves, they've got almost 50% of the world population, between just 7 countries or 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Between 5 countries, they've got 40% of world population. And already another 19 companies are lining up to join them. That includes Saudi Arabia as well. So the world is changing. The finances is changing. The global reserve of the current world is, we're not going to have one global reserve anymore. In the next 20 years, it's not going to be dollar, dollar, dollar. That one, we can see all the signs. It's going to be dollar. It's going to be different ones. We don't know what it's going to be. And then the global financial infrastructure. I just put this here in terms of the CBDCs for you to be able to see, So don't think it's a joke. This is the map of the world. Almost 70% of the world's central bank are doing something with CBDC. So this one is not a matter of this one is not, somebody's not making something up. This is coming. I can tell you in England, we're testing. America is there. You can see the map there, proof of concept research. It is only yours truly, Nigeria, that has already launched. You can see Nigeria, we're not always behind in everything, but this is coming. Now, the ramification of what this is going to do, this is a different conversation entirely. We can spend hours talking about this, but just for you to be aware of what that is bringing. And this is where I like now, this is disruptive innovation. What is coming? If you don't know, this guy is the CEO of BlackRock. BlackRock is one of the most powerful companies in the world. BlackRock has got 11 trillion worth of assets under management. So when this guy talks, countries, nations listen. Because the wealth of nations is being managed by him. And what is he saying? He's saying the next generation for the markets and the next generation for securities will be tokenization of security. If you don't know what that is, the addressable market we're talking about here is in the excess of 500 trillion. We are talking seriously. There's a difference in how much is Amazon? Apple is worth 2.7 trillion. Let's say 2.8, give or take. The addressable market this guy is talking about is in the hundreds of trillions. That should give you a picture of the possibility of what is going to happen in the next 20, 30 years. This is from Cathy Wood, and she's one of those few intelligent people I follow in terms of, she was in the big idea in 2023. The question was, what are the big ideas for 2023? See, all the AI everybody's shouting, AI is just one of them. We have AI, we have digital consumers, we have public blockchains, we have Bitcoin, we have smart contracts. So as much as AI seems to be what is actually people feel as a threat, see, the threat is when all of these things network and work together. That is where the threat comes from. It is not AI by itself. It is when AI powers the robots. It is when AI powers autonomous logistics. That means cars, driverless cars, we can see that is almost possible right now. It's just because of the law is not being passed. So all of a sudden, imagine all the Uber drivers. Within the next 20 years, there's no Uber driver. Within the next 30 years, there's no tanker driver. Everything is driven by what? By computers. Now, what happens to those people who their livelihood is just based on driving? Number one is they need to have a foresight is going to come. They can't stop it. Number two is how do they upskill themselves? And out of this, I've broken it down quickly into this one just for you to see in terms of, okay, what is happening? I was reading today and I saw, I was like, wow, Louis Vuitton, LV is actually now into NFTs and they're launching an NFTs. And the richest man in the world, Bernard, Louis Vuitton is one of the companies that he runs. So we know there's serious money behind that. So I was thinking, so if Louis Vuitton is looking into NFT launches, that means they are aware of what is coming. See, investment and investing is changing. The generation of saying, buy land, buy house, those are good investments. See, those are very good. See, the category of investment where say, okay, real estate is good, and this one is good, and stocks is good. There's nothing wrong about that, but you've got to follow the narrative. Narratives is very, very important. What makes this piece of software or piece of code worth $40,000? That's what you've got to ask yourself. Why? It's the narrative. It is because it is seen as valuable. Just the same thing that what makes Mona Lisa worth hundreds of millions. Mona Lisa is just a paint. If they gave it to my grandfather 50 years ago, he's probably going to use it to stoke fire and cook. Why? Because he was not aware of the narrative and the value. And research upon research is showing us that the coming generation, they actually prefer what? They prefer digital investments. Why? Because that is the world they were born into, and that is the world they enter. That is why you can see a boy and a girl. They never met each other. They will ask each other out on a date on the phone. When they get on a date, they'll be asking each other, they'll be talking on. And when I look at it, I was like, this is crazy, but I couldn't understand because I'm not in that world. But that is the world we are being ushered into. So the quicker we get part of the world, the better it is for us. Let me see that. So these are some of the disruptive innovations I've picked out. Artificial intelligence, it is paramount. It's going to happen. We have battery technology. See, the moment there is a breakthrough in battery technology, what happens to EV cars? It becomes cheaper. And when it is cheaper, it becomes more affordable. Already you can buy a Tesla for less than $20,000. And all of a sudden, competition is starting. Now you can buy an EV car less than $15,000, even $9,000 in China right now. Some companies are behind the research. Some companies are behind this innovation. Then we have blockchain. See, that blockchain one, I can talk from now to next year on that one. Just for you to know, the nature of blockchain makes it the next logical software solution, because that's all it is. It's a piece of software. Now we have robotics, and then we now have gene sequencing. And through my research, I was reading, and AI is seen to increase in value by 2030 to 100 trillion. When I saw that number, I was like, this one is not a matter of AI is taking my job. My own is, how do I invest and get my share of that 100 trillion. See, when they're talking about AI is coming, don't think about how you're going to be disadvantaged. Turn the table around and say, how do I benefit from this? Crypto asset is looking to increase from currently now is 1.1 trillion as of this morning to increase to 30 trillion. Do you know what that means when crypto increases to 30 trillion? We have battery technology, we have robotics, we have genomic technology. This is whereby they can actually have personalized medication for each individual. They look into your DNA and say, okay, instead of giving you a general malaria tablet, we're going to give you a dose of this, a dose of this. And it makes us live longer because while we are cracking the code of longevity. That just shows you in terms of how huge the opportunity of the next narratives are.
Mayowa, sorry, we are running fast out of time. Please, can you just go back to that slide?
Okay.
I don't know if, see, for all of us here, let's bring it down to single day today. During COVID, while people were busy doing all those drama of it is the devil, it is end time, it is what, for me, it was, where is the money? And I knew the money was in medicals. Somebody is going to break this code. And I started looking at how will I break into that money code. I don't have crystal ball because there are things that they call, you are not guessing blindly. You are taking educated decisions. So by the time Moderna came out with that thing, my brothers and sisters in the Lord, I had shares in Moderna because I went to look at the pharmaceutical companies. I looked at the ETFs because I want you to understand this slide. He spoke about the children of Issachar, men that understood times and seasons. The energy you are going to use to be complaining, use that energy to understand 1, 2, 3 and making it basic. Because this thing, it is 1, 2, 3, disruptive innovation. You can see it. For my Nigerian people, there was a time that people believed that Google Map can never work in Nigeria. Now, even my mother knows how to plot Google Map. Please permit me, I'm a Yoruba woman. She said, Egbe Google wa. So don't think in your mind that this thing is far away. How many of you has gone to the bank recently? So you need to think of these things. Everybody is talking alternative energy. It's simple common sense. It's a no-brainer. Like if you look at it, it's like it's in front of you, but you're not saying it. Battery. And we are talking about decentralized. Right now, you can sit in Nigeria and you are investing, not just in Nigeria, anywhere you are in the world. And you are investing in these companies. Like, how easy can it be? It's like you have the world on your palms. You are the next Warren Buffett if you sit down and you look at it and you think and you follow it. Please, for me, it's been saying a lot of important things, but this slide is extremely important. It's your life in your hands. And as Peter said earlier, these things are not complicated. Though. If you think it doesn't make sense to you, it's fine. Just take 3 minutes, 5 minutes every day. Pick one. In the next 6 months, you are going to be, if not an authority, but when they are talking, you understand what you're saying. And because one of the things we do is that we outsource our future. You will say you have an advisor, you have this, you have that. Nobody can advise you more than yourself. Mayowa, I think we have just like 5 minutes left. You know, it's work hours and we need to respect people's time. So over to you. I just needed to bring this home because for me, this is extremely important and I want people to have critical take-homes. Thank you.
I think it's actually a good place to actually stop here in terms of, because see, when there's gold rush, when people are digging for gold, the business of buckets and shovel is how people get rich. What does that mean? They are talking AI, AI, AI. Okay, what is it I can do that AI needs? Number one, okay, I've got a slide that actually breaks down. There's something I had here. It's like a cheat code. Okay, here it is. the narrative and opportunities. Look at the second one, data storage and data center. See, AI is only AI because number one, it has enough space and processing capacity and storage center for it to be able to process the data. And for AI to perform, AI needs enough data space. When it's now learning, it needs more data space. So the cost of AI running is actually not because of the programming language, but because of the amount of data it needs to process, it needs to consume, it needs to create. And when it is doing that, data centers, they don't run on oil, they don't run on water, electricity, they run on computers. They run. So the question there is, are the companies that are actually providing data storage and data centers? And yours truly, you'll find Microsoft, you'll find Amazon Web Services, you'll find Google Cloud. Those are the three big players. So AWS is actually the most profitable branch of Amazon business. And it's got nothing to do with your Amazon goods you're selling. No. Why? It's providing data center. So you look into it and say, okay, out of all of this, which one do I? Now, when they say, okay, in terms of robots and battery, renewable energy and that, how do I want to position myself? You don't have to be invested in everything. No. Pick 1, 2, 3 and understand it. See, some of them are going to happen. Smart contracts with Web3 and NFT, those are low-hanging fruits. And I know Nigeria is into crypto like a rash. But don't go into crypto because you had somebody put £1 today and got with 300 pounds tomorrow. No, be strategically positioned. Which are the softwares, which are the coins, like people call it, but see them as softwares. Which are the software that is solving a problem? If it solves a problem, utility, don't see use cases coming to meet it. You know, NVIDIA is the company that actually produces this, the graphics cards they use for AI. NVIDIA had a product that was valued at $0 for 3 good years by Wall Street. The moment the software blew up, that $0 value solution became billions of dollars overnight. What were they doing? They knew what was going to happen. So they were building, like they say, build and they will come. So in the business, when people are mining gold, and you know you don't have the equipment or the knowledge to mine gold, start getting into the business of buckets and shovels. Look into it and say, okay, what companies are actually into this thing can I know? What can I know about this? What is tokenization? They said world assets or not Nigeria asset. It doesn't mean for them to tokenize the whole world asset. That means you can own a bit of everything. Look at this. I had to put this here. This is NFTs. Art on NFT. Basically, they are software packages. These are just the top 10 most expensive. Pull them together, they are close to $200 million. That is not a joke.
Now, minimum wage is your biggest problem. Like, I don't get it.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I'll open the floor for questions. And it's been an honor to be here. I hope I'll see you again sometime soon as well. So please, if there is any questions at all for me.
Okay, can we have questions in the chat room? Kemi, are you free to turn on your camera? Susan, let's try and wrap up in 5 minutes. I hope we've really overshot the timer. It's been amazing. It's been like too much information. So Susan, let's hear you. How is it from your end?
So amazing does not exactly define what I feel right now, because I've had my mouth like throughout the session, like what? Like what? And for me, especially when we spoke on AI, you know, there's just been this notion about AI taking our jobs. And there's something he said. He says, it's not about AI taking your jobs. How do you invest and take your own share? So for me, I'm thinking, how do I take my own share? How do I position myself so I can leverage it? How do I benefit from this? And understanding the times. It's not, ignorance is not going to pay as it is now. Ignorance is not going to pay you at all. So get to understanding the big ideas. Get to seeing, okay, what What are the solutions coming up? How do I position myself? And how do I actually leverage this and benefit and not just continue to be a local champion and feeling yourself? So this was a big eye-opener for me. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayowa. Beautiful session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Susan. Kemi, let's be.
Well, thank you so much. I think it's one thing that, you know, someone tells you areas where you're ignorant in, but then it's also beautiful when they tell you the solution, right? So if you had no clue about investments or you were scared about it, and if you can't afford Apple, you can also go and find about components that make up Apple. So you can start, you know, like those things, and that's my takeaway, is that don't worry about AI. Think about the little steps to get to AI. And I think we can resonate with that, yeah, because let's look at the little things. They won't be, no one is looking at them. So that's the advantage. You go and look at where people aren't looking at, cash in because of them, and then have a strategy. Don't be reactive, you know, and I like, you know, how we went through the ages. And the key is to start to think 10 years down the line, because if you're just jumping in now, it's too late. Just think, okay, how do I get an advantage? And I think that's what you've given us today, is how to get an advantage. So thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kemi. That was excellent. You know, first movers advantage, very key. You look into the future, then you have the first movers advantage. Kika, please, can we have Mayowa's handle in the chat room? You need to follow Mayowa for financial talk. Like, this is his stuff. If you give him 24 hours, he's still talking. He's moving from one end to the other. Each of those slides, that's why I had to be jumping in. Each of those slides, you can take it 30 minutes each. And want to say a very big thank you to everybody for staying. Kika, are you here? Please drop Mayowa's handle in the chat room, and equally drop for people that are joining us for the first time. We've shared our slide on read. If you want to register for the next course, you've seen that there's just so much to do. These are not things that you can do in a 1 hour, 2 hours webinar. We're just like, we're not even scratching the surface, but we are trying to make you aware. But if you want to join the next course, you have to be very serious about yourself. You have to be ready to put in the work. Please click on that link and register. And tomorrow is the grand finale, or maybe not, I don't know, but show up tomorrow. Let's see how it goes. Phone a friend to tell a friend. And as we usually do, as is our custom on read, please can we unmute our mic and tell, Peter couldn't stay to the end, but let's tell Mayowa, thank you. Can we unmute our mic and say thank you, everybody? Please unmute your mic and say thank you.
Thank you. And God bless you. Thank you
very much,
so
everyone.
much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you tomorrow.
Thank you very much, everyone.